Hello and welcome to Movies You Miss Podcast. I'm V,
I'm John.
and we love to recommend movies without spoiling them.
No spoilers here.
How you doing today, John?
Not bad at all. Definitely did a lot of laughing recently, which is always good for the soul. So I'm looking forward to this discussion today.
Yes, and once again, I'm just so tickled the way we pick our movies and how they always have some deeper connection than we meant when
I
we
know.
pick them.
It is kind of strange. Especially this week. Very, very oddly enough, very coincidental.
Yeah, and it worked out great.
It definitely did.
But before we get into this week's theme and the movies we picked for it, we love to ask each other if we've seen any new movies in theaters this last week.
Yeah. It sounds like you did.
I certainly did.
Oh.
But do you want to start?
Oh, I don't care.
I'll
I'm curious what you saw, because you know what I saw. So why don't you tell the audience, V, what did you see?
I went and saw Sisu.
Oh, well. Now I remember, because you texted me that evening that you saw it.
Yes.
Well, what did you think?
It was gory, bloody fun.
Oh, sweet.
It's a Finnish movie, and it's set in World War II. And if anyone likes Quentin Tarantino movies, especially Inglourious Bastards or Kill Bill,
Okay.
definitely give Sisu a watch.
All right. Well, then I definitely will have to give it a shot.
And even though it's Finnish, it is in English, so there's
Oh,
no
cool.
subtitles.
Okay.
I believe it's filmed in Finland, or at least the Nordic area, and it's gorgeous. It's extremely violent,
Ah.
but it's always a great time watching a bunch of Nazis get killed. So,
It most definitely is.
and I had a ton of fun watching it. It was very entertaining. It was a great action film. It was fun watching a movie from another country as well.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it for anybody who enjoys action movies or is okay with a little bit of gore and violence. And by a little bit, I mean Quentin Tarantino level.
All right. I definitely am going to have to check it out then.
And I believe you've seen, I don't know, like 17 or something?
I have seen quite a bit, actually. This last week, I've seen a total of 5 new movies. And I got to say, 4 of them were in theaters and 1 of them was at home. And I'm very excited to give as little information about all of them as possible to our listeners.
You know, the Regal Cinema probably looks at you the same way an all-you-can-eat place looks at a person who just gorges themselves.
I can only imagine.
You're the type of all-access pass holder that makes them lose money.
Absolutely. I go to the movies at least 2 to 3 times a week. And I am going to just start it right off. I saw Fast 10, starring everybody in the Fast and the Furious series, minus the fantastic Paul Walker. I'm going to tell you right now, I texted V the second this movie ended that I have seen the Top Gun Maverick of 2023. Now, granted, we have not seen Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. However, this movie is fucking fantastic. What a spectacular action-packed ride. And Jason Momoa as the villain made me laugh so much. I love this movie. I'm going again, maybe 3 times. I don't know. But I did see it in the 4DX theater. I got thrown around. I had the Nas blowing in my ears. It was so much fun. If anybody has not seen it yet, do what you can to see Fast 10 in the theaters. Absolutely. So much better than Fast 9 Saga. Or whatever they called it. F9 Saga, Furious Saga, whatever it was.
I will not stand for the Maverick slander.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Oh, God.
It was so much fun, though. I really just could not believe how much fun I had. I also went in with no expectations, so maybe that's what it was.
Probably.
You know, like 9 was just a ridiculous back and forth of ridiculousness. I guess is what I can say. But number 10 was great. After that, I took my wife to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which V had discussed an episode or 2 earlier. And I gotta tell you, I've never cried in a Marvel movie, but man, oh man, did I cry in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Great movie from beginning to end. I definitely felt a lot of remorse for just about everybody, and it was a great quote-unquote wrap-up for the Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy. Of course, we may get more of them, but who knows? I definitely enjoyed that one. V, I think you enjoyed that one too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it better than the second one.
Sure.
I didn't feel like the stakes were there for me personally, but there was a scene that I did tear up, so I get it.
Yeah. No, I can understand with the stakes thing. It definitely was one of those movies where I was like, okay, is this really how this one's going to go? Again, overall, definitely an enjoyable movie. Check it out in theaters if you can. It's been out for a few weeks now. I would see it again, and I most likely will because of my Regal Unlimited pass. A few days after that, my father and I went to see a movie starring Sean Patrick Flannery and Jordan Belfi. This movie is titled Nefarious. If anybody knows Sean Patrick Flannery by name, awesome. If you don't, he is one of the two brothers in the Boondock Saints. He is also one of the leads in Saw, the Final Chapter. He is also Powder from the 1996 film Powder. Great actor. I've had the immense pleasure of working with Sean Patrick Flannery many years ago on a martial arts-infused feature film. He was a fantastic human being. He recorded a video for my sister because my sister is a massive fan of the Boondock Saints, and this movie Nefarious is fucking fantastic. It's about a demonic possession, and that's all you really need to know. It's a two-man show. Absolutely worth checking out if you have any interest in it. I definitely recommend it. A few days after that, I went on Thursday night to see, just before its release to the worldwide audience, I went and saw the Disney-produced, brand new live-action feature film, The Little Mermaid, starring Halle Bailey, John Howard King, Melissa McCarthy, Javier Bardem, Daveed Diggs, and Awkwafina. I texted V after leaving the theater that I probably shouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I did, but good golly almighty, I'm going to tell you right now that this movie is excellent. I loved it just as much as I did the Jungle Book reimagining.
Whoa.
Yeah, and the Jungle Book is, in my opinion, the best. Then there's Cinderella.
That's the standard of live-action remakes.
It really is, yeah. And The Little Mermaid comes in, just completely grabs you by the heartstrings, and the animation is otherworldly. And, they're all under the sea, but my God, Sebastian, Scuttle, and Flounder, they were real. You cannot convince me otherwise. And Halle Bailey had me crying during Part of Your World. If you are at all interested in seeing this movie, check it out. Melissa McCarthy killed it as Ursula. I was so worried, but good fucking God. This movie is badass, and I'm very happy with it. I went in with zero expectations, and the cool thing is it revolves around the early stories of mermaids and The Little Mermaid 1989 Disney classic. So it involves a lot of that classic mythology along with, the 1989 Triton and his daughters and Ariel and Sebastian and all that. But absolutely walked out of that theater feeling completely elated. I have not felt that way with a Disney live-action movie since The Jungle Book. This movie encapsulated everything, and it was absolutely enjoyable. Check it out if you can. And other than that, I did watch Air at home, which was directed by Ben Affleck, starring Matt Damon and Chris Tucker and Viola Davis, about when Michael Jordan signs with Nike. Pretty good movie. Everybody knows the end of that movie because at this point now, however many of your children, right, exactly, have Air Jordans, but definitely a movie worth checking out if you want to have a nice, comfortable movie watching at home. Overall, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10, I guess. Acting was pretty good, but it wasn't anything that I felt I needed to see in theaters.
Okay. And that's on Prime right now, isn't it?
It is currently on Prime right now, yes. You can watch that for free. Little Mermaid is in theaters. I don't think you can watch that for free yet on Disney+, but I imagine you will be able to soon. I did see that also in 3D, and the 3D was absolutely phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so that covers the new movies in theaters that John and I have seen recently. Should we get into our theme of the week?
Yeah, let's jump right in. I think we shall. This is, I believe, the breakup comedies episode. We haven't done a movie theme like this before, and there definitely are breakup comedies. I chose a movie that I saw kind of on a whim. I don't think I actually saw a trailer for it. I know my wife had. So we went out on one date night and had dinner and went and saw this movie at the ArcLight Cinemas on Sunset Boulevard. Rest in peace to the greatest movie theater on the planet. This is the Mila Kunis, Kate McKinnon, Justin Theroux, Sam Heughan, Jane Curtin, Paul Reiser, and Hassan Minhaj. For those of you that don't know who Kate McKinnon is, she is in a couple movies. She's in the Ghostbusters relaunch with all the ladies, Kristen Wiig and all of them. She's also in a movie called Rough Night with Scarlett Johansson and Zoe Kravitz, which I also thought was pretty damn funny. She's definitely been around. She does a lot of voice acting as well. And Mila Kunis, her career has definitely been pretty impressive. I am a big fan of most of her movies. I like the movie Extract. It's a Mike Judge movie. I like that movie because not only is it funny, but a friend of mine was one of the producer's assistants during the production of that movie and spent a lot of time with Mila Kunis and said that Mila Kunis was an absolute sweetheart, so It's always great to hear.
Yes.
Mila Kunis is also in one of my favorite Darren Aronofsky movies starring Natalie Portman called Black Swan, which Natalie Portman won the Best Actress for at the Oscars that year. She's also in a Disney film called Oz the Great and Powerful, starring James Franco. I like that movie. The special effects are fantastic. And she's also one of the leads in the Bad Moms movies. If anybody's ever seen Bad Moms or Bad Moms Christmas, those are great R-rated movies as well. And Mila Kunis she's just fantastic. She's such a delight.
She really is.
And we all will very likely know Mila Kunis' voice because she has, for the last 25 some odd years, even though she wasn't the first voice actress to play Meg on Family Guy, that was Lacey Chabert, she has been Meg for at least, 23 years now? I mean, it's a long-ass time.
Family Guy
that show came out in
long?
1999, I believe.
Oh my gosh.
It was canceled for 2 years, and then it came back, I think, in 2002 or 2003. I remember I was still in high school. Yeah, when it came back on TV. This movie is directed by Susanna Fogel. She is a writer on some of the episodes of Flight Attendant, starring Katie Cuoco, if anybody saw that on HBO. I believe there's 2 seasons now. It's definitely a darker thing than I anticipated it being, and it's kind of good to see Kaylee Cuoco do something like this other than The Big Bang Theory or 7 Rules to Dating My... Or what was it? 8 Simple Rules to Dating My Teenage Daughter from way back in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So Susanna Fogel, she also is a writer on a fantastically led female comedy, coming of age, directed by Olivia Wilde, called Booksmart, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I've seen that movie like 2 or 3 times. And she, again, wrote and directed this movie. So very cool having a female helm this film from, page to screen.
Mm-hmm.
This film it's in the title. What else can we give you here at Movies You Missed? That's kind of the cool thing about this episode too, is both of these movies don't necessarily need a breakdown because the reasons these movies exist are literally in the title.
They definitely don't need a ton.
No, they don't. So I'll break it down as best I can since we don't do spoilers here. And this movie definitely has a few, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon, they're best friends, have been their whole lives, and they are at a birthday party. We get introduced to Audrey, played by Mila Kunis, and we get introduced to Morgan, played by Kate McKinnon. They're at a birthday party for Audrey. She's singing her happy birthday. All their friends are there. They're at a karaoke bar, etc. But her boyfriend's not there. She just got dumped by her boyfriend, Drew, who's played by Justin Theroux. And if anybody knows who Justin Theroux is, he is one of the writers on Tropic Thunder. He is also in one of my favorite crazy-ass David Lynch films, Mulholland Drive. He plays the film director in Mulholland Drive. Vee, have you seen Mulholland Drive?
I haven't, but I know it's on your list.
It is on my list, and fantastically so. So we'll get into that when we discuss Mulholland Drive.
Well, and I also think it's kind of funny that Justin Theroux is kind of known at this point for being Jennifer Aniston's partner for a lot of years.
Very true, yeah.
And then he was in, I believe it's called The Leftovers.
Yeah, I've heard that is a great series. I've not watched it.
I haven't either, but I've heard great things. So even though he's known for kind of these pop culture things, he is a prolific and excellent writer.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I love a lot of the stuff that he's done.
Absolutely. And if you have seen Zoolander, he is the evil DJ in Zoolander as well.
Yes.
I love the scene when he calls Katinka, and he's like, your boy Zoolander's rolling. And then we get the David Bowie cameo, so we had to mention David Bowie.
Yay! Thank you for mentioning David Bowie in this episode.
Of course.
And Justin Theroux, even though a lot of people hate this movie, I actually think it's not terrible, and it's certainly better than the third one. He wrote Iron Man 2.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So back to The Spy Who Dumped Me, which is, by the way, a play on a James Bond movie called The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh. And then I guess we might have to mention The Spy Who Shagged Me, which is
go.
the Austin Powers film.
Yes.
That was the sequel in the Austin Powers trilogy. Maybe there'll be a fourth. Who knows? But yes, The Spy Who Dumped Me, Audrey's birthday. Morgan, her best friend's trying to cheer her up because Drew just dumped her over text message.
And of
course, this day and age is definitely a no-no. You get a finger shake from everybody like, nah, yeah, that's not the way to do it. You got to grow some balls. We find out that he hasn't really given her any real reason as to why he's dumping her. So they get drunk. They decide that they're going to destroy his shit that night. So she texts him.
They're going
to burn his shit. And if he wants it back, he better come up with an explanation. He then shows up, breaks it down for her, but not really, because he doesn't want to exactly tell her that he's a spy or whatnot. Something a bit traumatic happens, and now Morgan and Audrey are on the run from assassins and hitmen, and they have to go to Europe to drop off this USB port that Drew just gave Audrey before this traumatic event happens. And this is when Morgan says to Audrey,
Okay, Drew said that if we don't deliver this package, a lot of people are gonna die. What if we don't do it and then there's like a terrorist attack or something?
Well, what did he say to do?
We have to get it to a cafe in Vienna.
Austria, Vienna?
Yes, that's what he said.
Okay, well, why don't we do that then?
Do what? Go to Europe when a bunch of people are trying to kill us?
Do you want to die having never been to Europe? Or do you want to go to Europe and die having been to Europe?
Why are those my only two options?
and I love that moment. And this is about 8 minutes into the movie. This movie starts really fast. And that's the cool thing, is it doesn't let up. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. It really flies by because Kate McKinnon is comedy fucking gold in this movie.
God.
I don't know how much of
movie.
her stuff. It really is, yeah. She's the comedic relief 100%. Not that Mila Kunis is not hysterical in this movie, because she sure as fuck is. But she's a little bit more... I don't even want to say that one of them's more badass than the other. You know, like they're just two badass, funny as fuck women that have now been thrown into this James Bond-esque, atomic blonde-ish kind of world that they know nothing about, except Morgan has two parents that are very high up in the government. And this is when we meet Paul Reiser and Jane Curtin. If anybody knows who Jane Curtin is, she was on the very short-lived but phenomenal comedy series Third Rock from the Sun. And Paul Reiser is, of course, from Mad About You with Helen Hunt.
And Aliens.
Oh, well, yes, of course. I did forget that he was
Burke.
in Aliens. I forgot that
Aliens.
he was in Aliens, absolutely. So every few minutes, it like ups the ante. There's like all of these new people after them. And at one point, Sam Heughan shows up. And if anybody knows who he is, he's the handsome devil from Outlander that gets
So
everybody's
hot.
heart fluttering,
Yes.
including mine, because my wife is a big fan, and I've, by proxy become one. I've not actually seen Outlander, but I have drank his scotch, Sassenach, which is pretty tasty for a blended scotch. But he's basically trying to convince Audrey and Morgan that he's on the right side of things. They can't really believe him because Drew says don't trust anybody. It's literally all the tropes are just thrown into one, but they're done so well, so tight, so fast. And McKinnon just makes it so fucking funny. I mean, there are tears coming off my face from laughter in this movie.
Me
And the
too.
cool thing about watching this, again, with my wife was, again, we saw this in theaters. My wife loved it. I bought it for her on Blu-ray. So this actually, she wants the audience to know that this is one of my wife's Blu-rays that I watched. This is not
Nice.
mine. This is my wife's. And we're sitting there, and about halfway through the movie, she's laughing out loud and face palming herself because of the shit McKinnon's saying. And she says to me, see, this is a movie that I like because it's laugh out loud funny and it's not overly raunchy. Now, I understand that a lot of people aren't into the raunchy comedies. I love raunch comedy. We're going to get into that with V's pick this episode. So I'm like, okay, fine.
Here's
fine,
the
fine.
thing, though, because The Spy Who Dumped Me does have one raunchy joke in it. It's towards the beginning, and you see a guy's balls, and it's hilarious.
Oh my God, shit's ridiculous.
And I'm not usually a huge fan of raunchy comedy either. I think it's
Okay.
just a little cheap and maybe a little trying too hard. But they can.
Sure.
But raunchy comedy can be successful and very good in my personal opinion.
Definitely.
And like we talk about all the time, comedy is the most divisive
Oh yeah,
genre because it's so subjective. But,
definitely.
But yes, with both our movies, one has, as you said, a little bit more raunch than other. But god
Yeah.
damn it, they're both so funny.
So funny. And that's the cool thing about The Spy Who Dumped Me is once they get to Europe, and then Sam Heughan shows up, and then it turns into this cafe sequence, everybody's
my
in on
God,
it. It's just so badass. It's so badass and hilarious at the same time.
And I actually wrote that down because I agree with you. The cafe scene is a full-on action movie scene. The
hell
stunts
yeah.
in that, the fight choreography in that scene are fantastic and definitely as good as a Bond cafe fight scene. And
Absolutely.
I was so impressed with the fight choreography and the stunt work in that. And then later on in the movie, there's some great stunts in a gymnasium.
Oh, hell yeah.
And him jumping off that balcony is so badass.
Yeah, it's so good. There were a lot of incredible stunts on this movie, and actually, speaking of stunts, Sam Heughan was very impressed with the stunt work on this movie, but he also had a bit of an issue because he recognized so many of the stunt members while working on this movie from Atomic Blonde. So he actually was watching Atomic Blonde one night while shooting this movie on, after they had wrapped, and he was having trouble feeling any sort of dread or suspense for Charlize Theron's character because he knew all of the stuntmen that were coming up the stairwell. So I thought that was
That's
kind of
actually
fucking
kind
funny.
awesome though.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, because then you can go tomorrow to set and be like, dude, I just watched Atomic Blonde, and then Charlize Theron like cracks your face open with a gun and throws you down 3 flights of stairs. How was that, you know? That's exactly what I would do, and I can only imagine that's what everybody does, especially stunt performers. I mean, stunt work is, and we've mentioned it before, it needs its own Oscar category because some of the stunts in movies, they're just getting better and better. And this movie is from 2018, so it's already several years old, but it holds up. The action's great. One thing we should mention is this movie is R-rated. It's a pretty strong R. There's a lot of swear words, but the violence is pretty intense. At the same time, though, it's fucking funny because these two women that don't have any clue, really, what's going on, they have to adapt so fast and, really just survive. And the scene when they get into the taxi cab, Audrey says to the driver, there are guys chasing us that we need to lose. He goes, fuck yeah! And then, hits on the gas. And then, of course, they just go in like a Mission Impossible sequence and a James Bond sequence.
Yeah.
They're driving all around through Vienna, Austria, which is awesome. I've been to Salzburg, Austria, so I can only imagine how much fun Vienna is. Yeah, Salzburg's amazing.
Well, and I love that he has such a genuine reaction because if I was sitting in a car and I was a driver and someone's like, ditch all these guys or follow that car, I'd be like, this is the best day ever.
Exactly. Hell yeah.
There are so many good jokes as they're trying to escape all of these terrorists and these spies. And they're, like you said, they're thrown in the middle. They don't know what the hell's going on and they certainly don't have the skills for it. And there's just joke after joke from Kate McKinnon. And I loved when they're in Austria and she picks up the little Mozart hat and she's like, yeah, it seems like they advertise that Mozart's from here more than Hitler. And I was like, oh my God.
So good. I love when they actually have to change change clothes and disguises and Kate McKinnon puts on like that Michael Jackson kind of get up and Audrey goes, Morgan, you look like a curtain. She goes, yeah, because I can hang. And it's just it's like the smallest things, but it's like the way the delivery of Kate McKinnon.
Yes, it's all about
just
the delivery.
Fantastic. Yeah, I never really was a big fan of Saturday Night Live, but I can't even really remember what I saw McKinnon do first that had me just like, okay, I'm in.
The alien abduction skit with Ryan Gosling.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that one.
Oh my God. Please watch that on YouTube. You, John, and everybody else listening. Yeah. After this episode, go watch the alien abduction SNL skit on YouTube and you will be crying. You'll be laughing so hard.
I will have to check that out, definitely.
Yes. And there's just a lot of real world jokes in this movie that I really appreciate because these women are just laymen, right? They're not spies. They're not action heroes. And so they are trying to ditch these bad guys and they try to steal a car, but it's a stick shift. Oh, yeah.
That was so good. That sequence is great because both that couple's just like, what the hell is going on? The cool thing actually about this movie, that cast was instructed by Susanna Fogel to go to a couple of escape rooms before they started shooting this movie. They did shoot this movie on location in Budapest, so they actually did not shoot in Vienna, Austria.
Because it's expensive as fuck, I bet.
Yeah, I can only imagine that kind of location shooting. So every European city is actually just a different corner of Budapest while they stayed in Budapest and shot this movie.
That's okay. Los Angeles pretends to be lots of cities that it's not in filming stuff.
No, definitely. The escape room thing was actually kind of fun to find out because Mila Kunis actually took charge of all of them and they got out within like a certain, amount of time that like broke records and everybody at the escape room was like, well. Mila Kunis, I don't know if anybody does know this, but she is Ukrainian born, which is awesome because my last name is actually originally from the Ukraine. There's one letter taken out of my name when my great-grandfather showed up on this plane that we call the United States. And Mila Kunis actually had not visited her hometown since she had left when she was 7 years old. So she actually went back while shooting this movie on one of the off days. Yeah, very cool. And her husband, who we all know, well, maybe not, but here you go. Ashton Kutcher is her husband, which is an interesting pairing, I suppose. But, they met on that 70s show, so what are you going to do?
They're both incredibly smart people who are very easygoing. It actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh, okay. Well, see, yeah, I know that Kutcher's got a whole bunch of side stuff other than his acting career that's very commendable.
Yeah.
He's a very, very good guy trying to bring awareness to a lot of things, especially human trafficking. I always am happy to find out that there's definitely people out there that are helping.
And the cool fact about Mila Kunis is even though she's Ukrainian, because she was born really close to the border, her home language was Russian.
That's right, yeah.
And so she's fluent in both Russian and English, which is awesome.
That is very awesome. She can speak multiple languages. Kate McKinnon apparently is a very quiet person when the cameras aren't rolling, which
No
kind of,
fucking
I don't know,
way.
in a weird way, like people that are super entertaining and funny like that are kind of in their head a lot, and she seems to really come to life when the cameras are rolling and, everybody's having a good time. You'll like this, V. Actually, Kate McKinnon was so happy to have Gillian Anderson be in this film because Kate McKinnon had a huge crush on her growing up and actually dressed as Agent Scully. It's Scully, right?
It's Scully,
Okay,
yes.
sorry, yeah. I've not seen the X-Files.
I don't know how we're friends.
I know. But there's a great moment when actually Gillian Anderson and Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis' character meet in this movie, and it's just great. Just listen to this.
Angel, my office.
What? Wait. This is your boss. You're the boss? We have a real-life Judi Dench in our midst. You are the boss, and yet you have not sacrificed 1 ounce of femininity. Why have we been spending all of this time talking to the men when this being has been floating through the halls of the building? Oh, my God.
That's a compliment.
That is the Beyonce of the government.
Duffer, stay here.
I have so much respect for you that it has circled around into objectification. Ma'am.
That is my favorite scene of the whole entire movie.
Oh, it's so good.
I, too, have had a huge crush on Gillian Anderson since I was 9 when the X-Files premiered. Had a
There you
huge
go.
crush on David Duchovny, Fox Mulder, as well.
Yes.
Both agents are super hot. And good Lord, Gillian Anderson, first and foremost, is aging like the finest
yeah.
wine.
Definitely.
And she is gorgeous in this movie.
She very much is quite lovely.
She's a badass in the show The Fall with Jamie Dornan.
I don't know
he's
that
a
one.
serial killer in that show. It's great.
Oh,
Very cool, dark crime show. And yes, Kate McKinnon's explanation of how she feels about Gillian Anderson is exactly how I feel too. So that is my favorite scene of the whole movie. It is so good.
That's awesome. Well, that's what you and McKinnon have in common then. You guys both had crushes on Gillian Anderson, and still do, apparently.
Yes, and still do to this day.
Yeah, apparently it was a dream come true for Kate McKinnon to be in a movie with Gillian Anderson.
Awesome.
So can only imagine how much fun they had together when the cameras weren't rolling. 'Cause there's some pretty good outtakes on the Blu-ray of this movie. But and there's also there's a couple of pieces on the Blu-ray where it's like they just riff. It's just Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis
I can only imagine.
going off just freely, and oh man, some of the stuff that didn't make it in the movie is almost better than what made it in the movie. There's a moment in this movie actually where both of the ladies have been captured and they are about to be tortured by this crazy badass female spy, assassin. And Kate McKinnon just finally has had enough, and she says one of my favorite lines in the movie. She goes, "Hey, why don't you just eat my tit, bitch, and then go fuck yourself?" And I love that scene so much because that woman is so straight-faced, and she's actually kind of freaky.
Yes,
but then when the
she's very
cameras
creepy.
stop rolling, she smiles, and you're like, "Oh my gosh!" I love that sequence.
Well, and I just love that they start spilling each other's secrets in order to stop being tortured.
Yeah. And that's a cool thing actually about this movie that the writers were very, very adamant about writing a movie with two female friends involved in something so traumatic and so outlandish, that at one point or another, one of them might turn on the other because they're doing something incorrectly, or there would be some kind of conflict between the
rift.
both of them, like Sam Hewen's character likes Audrey more than Morgan or something like that, and they're like, no, they don't reconcile. There's none of that bullshit. It's literally the fact that both of these women support each other from the get-go in everything. And that's the cool thing about Morgan's character, who is Kate McKinnon. She's just like, let's fucking go to Europe. Like, let's take this USB drive to Europe to this spy, and then let's do this and let's do that and da-da-da-da. So it's really cool to have that foundation of friendship be the soul of the movie. You really just want to hang out with them,
Hell
you
yeah.
want to save them and then hang out with them because you don't want anything terrible to happen to these ladies because they're so fucking funny.
Well, and that's the thing that I think makes this movie very good is that there's a foundation of realism in it, and it's not just silly the whole entire time.
Right, yeah.
And something that really touched me during the movie is during a lull in the action and the comedy, Morgan, Kate McKinnon's character, turns to Audrey and says, I am a lot. And somebody had told her that, and she says, look, I know I am a lot. And Mila Kunis is like, what? No, you're amazing. I love you. And she said, no, I get it. I am a lot. Only you and my parents can really put up with me.
Right.
And as someone with a big personality, especially a woman with a big personality, that really spoke to me. And that is something I've been told at different points in my life as well.
Oh, wow.
So it's just, I was really touched that someone, who is very outspoken and hilarious and bombastic, is still someone who is cared for and loved by her friend, is still successful. And it was just really nice to see that type of female personality on screen.
Definitely, yeah. And I would say that's the one moment where, like you said, it's kind of a lull. And like for a moment, Morgan's having that insecurity and whatnot. But that's really like the only moment in the movie where either of them kind of have any sort of insecurity like that, especially after the whole first 10 minutes of this movie. So it's definitely cool. And of course, they had an absolute blast making this, and Kate McKinnon's on record saying that shooting movies on location is her favorite thing because everybody gets so close and it's almost like a summer camp. And I've done many, many location shootings. I've flown to New York. I've gone to Mexico. I've definitely been around the United States shooting stuff. And you do kind of form a bond with people that you're on an away gig with.
Yes.
And it's pretty cool that happens. And you may not always stay in touch after that, but for that moment in time, it definitely does help, not get so homesick. And at the same time, you're just having a blast. You're making a crazy-ass movie called The Spy Who Dumped Me.
Yeah.
Both Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon think that they would actually be some great spies for the CIA. Sam Heughan is on the other side of that, thinking that he would be an absolutely terrible spy. I know for a fact that I could be maybe decent, but I don't know. I feel like I don't ever want to find out, but I could talk my way out of an execution or something. I have no idea, maybe.
Nope, I would be terrible. I know for a fact I would be absolutely awful. First of all, I am a terrible liar, and second of all, everybody already thinks I'm a cop.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. Well, then it would not work in your favor.
Nope, I'd be killed immediately.
That's really all I can give you, because there are a few twists and turns in this movie. That's the cool thing, is it's not just like a straightforward like, oh, there's no twists or anything like that. That's what makes the movie fun. Like I said, it moves right along. It's very fast-paced. The comedy keeps coming. The action keeps coming. And we didn't even mention that Hassan Minhaj, he plays another agent. He's actually Sam Heughan's partner, and he's that one character that always has to mention that he's gone to Harvard, which is always very entertaining.
Such a douche.
Character trope, absolutely, yeah.
And he's a well-known comic at this point.
Yes, he is. He did the White House Correspondents' Dinner a few years ago.
He was good.
He was actually very entertaining. This film opened on August 3rd of 2018 with a $40 million budget. It came in with a 12.1 opening weekend. U.S. gross ended up being $33.5 million. Not great, but the worldwide gross was 75.3, so it made a little bit back. Now, I said I don't remember seeing a trailer for this. I think I saw a few billboards throughout Hollywood, but nothing like major, like Spy Who Dumped Me coming out, not a whole lot of commercials. But again, my wife and I got to the theater. The theater was pretty packed. We went opening weekend, and it did okay. Yeah. Oh, you saw it in theaters too. Great.
I did. I loved it.
Awesome. A couple other movies that came out that month. A few of them I saw, some of them I didn't. Black Klansman, we mentioned when we did that episode. Meg came out, the Megalodon movie with Jason Statham.
Oh, Meg.
The Meg, yeah. That was okay. It wasn't great, but it still was fine. There's a new one
Meg
coming.
2's
The
coming
Meg
out.
2, here it comes. You better fucking believe I'm going to go see it. Slender Man, a horror movie, which I never did see, and a movie that I have a hard time pronouncing the title of, starring one of my favorites, Lily James, based off the novel that my wife loves, The Grinsery Literary Potato Peel Pie Society. I don't know how to really... That's it. Crazy Rich Asians also came out that month, and so did Mile 22, which was a Mark Wahlberg-led film. And the highest-grossing film of 2018, since we have done 2018, Infinity War from Marvel.
That's right.
That is my pick for breakup comedies.
Nice.
The Spy Who Dumped Me, which
is hilarious.
Which is absolutely hilarious. Like I said, watched my wife's Blu-ray copy of this. You can watch it on any rentable service if you'd like for $3.99. Give them all your support, because there's nothing better than funny women.
Absolutely true, and I'm so glad we're going to be continuing that trend with my movie.
Yes, indeed. I think we can end this relationship with The Spy Who Dumped Me and begin a new relationship with your choice. V, what do you say?
Moving on.
Yes. Quickly.
Yes. Because I picked the 2008, so this is 10 years earlier than your movie.
Hey.
Breakup comedy classic Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, and it is a classic.
It really is at this point, that's for sure.
Oh, my gosh, this movie. Oh.
Starring Jason Segel, Kristen Bell, Mila Kunis,
Hey.
Russell Brand, and a whole host of other actors that I will get into. Doesn't matter how many times I've seen this movie, it makes me laugh every single time.
Every damn time. And this time watching it for the podcast, I don't think I'd watched it in over a year. So it was a really great time revisiting this fucking movie.
Yes, I hadn't seen it in about a year and a half, and yeah, I agree with you. Yes. So what this movie is about.
Kind of like mine, it's in the title.
It is. It's Forgetting Sarah Marshall, who just broke our heart.
Oh.
Kristen Bell plays the title character of Sarah Marshall, who is a semi-successful TV actress. She's in a crime show, the likes of CSI.
Yeah.
And she is currently in a 5-year relationship with her boyfriend, Peter Bretter, who is a musician who actually makes the music for the TV show she stars in.
Right.
Which I always thought those must be cushy-ass gigs.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Being the musical director on TV shows? Hell yeah.
I would think so.
So she gives her boyfriend Peter a call, who's at home, and lets him know that she's coming back from, whatever trip she was just on. And he's like, okay. And it's that very classic scene where whoever has been home alone for a while hurriedly picks up the house, right? Cleans up, takes the shower for the first time in a couple days. Like we have all been there, right? And so she comes home and right out the gate, I want to let everybody know that there is male frontal nudity in this movie.
Yes, there is.
But it is used for hilarious purposes, and it absolutely works.
It does.
I do not believe it is gratuitous. I actually think it works wonderfully to be part of these jokes.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. And the funny thing about this movie and this scene is that, of course, what's going to happen in this movie. It's in the title.
Right.
You don't know that he's definitely going to drop that towel, and you're going to see what he's got under there. And when I first saw this movie, saw this opening weekend with a woman I was dating and her parents.
Oh, my God.
So that was fun.
See, this is exactly why we have the Would You Watch This With Your Grandma segment in our show, to protect our audience from situations like that.
Definitely, yes. Movies You Missed podcast had not been in inception yet.
Not yet. and so she comes home, he drops the towel, he's like, hey, baby, I got something for you. And she's like, we need to talk.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Of course, she says the classic words, we need to talk.
Yeah. Oh.
And she continues to ask him to get dressed. He's like, no, because if I get dressed, it'll make it real. It's so... This is everything he does in reaction to this breakup is so realistic and genuine.
So
I
good.
love that about this movie. So unfortunately, Sarah Marshall breaks up with Peter, and he keeps asking, like, I'll change, or what else can I do? Is there someone else? And she's like, no, I swear, I just need to break up. And finally, he pesters her, and she's like, yes, there's someone else, and she leaves.
Yeah.
He proceeds to have this breakup montage, which, again, we've all been there, right?
Oh, yeah,
He
definitely.
is crying to all the videos and pictures of them. He is weeping on the couch to terrible reality television.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
He then proceeds, through the advice of his stepbrother, played by Bill Hader in this movie, of all people,
Yes.
which is a great supporting character in this film.
Oh, yeah.
He proceeds to have a bunch of meaningless sex to just try to rip the Band-Aid off and try to get over it. So Peter is just not doing well. He is certainly not getting over it, and he's kind of stuck in a couple stages of grief, mostly the grief portion.
Yeah.
And Bill Hader finally is like, look, man, you got to get out of town. This is unhealthy. And honestly, Liz and I kind of hated Sarah Marshall.
I
She was
love
kind
that
of a
whole
bitch. And he's like,
so good.
how dare you?
Sarah's so much better than Liz. Do you want to have this conversation? I love that. He's like, yes.
So good.
So fucking funny.
And so through the advice of his brother, Peter leaves town. He needs to get out of town, get out of his own head. And he's like, you know what? Sarah and I always talked about going to Hawaii. Maybe I should go there. And he's like, no, don't go to a place she recommended. No, I'm going to go to Hawaii. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's like, well, I can't go to Hawaii because Sarah Marshall's heard of Hawaii. I love that, too, because in a way, you know, that's one of those scenes where they don't give you, like, the backstory of why his stepbrother's telling him not to go to Hawaii. But it's almost like he knows that she's there. You know?
Oh, I never even put that together.
Because if you really, if you look at it,
probably
he goes,
tabloid pictures.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to go to Hawaii, and he goes, I wouldn't go there.
That's right.
And the way he says it, you're like, he fucking knows that Sarah Marshall's in Hawaii.
TMZ has had some pictures or video shown that Sarah Marshall's in Hawaii.
And Peter doesn't know that yet.
And Peter doesn't know that. And yes, so it turns out that he goes to Hawaii and Sarah Marshall's there at the same exact resort with her brand new rock star boyfriend.
Oh, yes.
Aldous Snow from the band Infant Sorrow. Played by Russell Brand.
I love the intro to Infant Sorrow, too, at the beginning of this movie. It's
with
so great.
Access Hollywood and was it
Yeah.
Billy Bush?
Billy Bush. Yeah, Billy Bush before the whole debacle.
Trump thing.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. The music video for We Gotta Do Something, so great.
Sodomize Intolerance.
Yeah.
He's like the most ridiculous rock star.
Crawling on freaking concrete.
So ridiculous. So yes. Unfortunately, that's her new boyfriend. And funny enough, when they do run into each other, Aldous Snow introduces himself to Peter. And Peter says a line that apparently this is the movie I picked it up from because John has let me know this is something I say often. Peter goes, yes, you're Aldous Snow. You're very, very famous.
Yes, I am for my sins.
And so poor Peter is stuck in this very awkward situation. And I love that she asks him, Peter, what are you doing here? And he's like, I came to murder you.
Oh, I know. I love that.
And I thought
so good.
That movie Ghosted that I saw a couple weeks ago with Chris Evans and Ana de Armas.
Yeah.
And this is actually how you treat running into your ex. You don't actually follow the girl that you either are currently dating or broke up with or had a one-night stand. Don't actually do that. Have a funny coincidental run-in with her like Peter does.
Yes, so funny.
So the nice thing is that Mila Kunis' character, Rachel, is the concierge of this resort that they've both happened to go to. And poor Peter's kind of stuck in this really awkward situation, and she definitely saves him by saying, oh, Mr. Brenner, your suite's available. Thank you so much for your patience. And, he goes to her and he's like, oh, man, thanks for saving my bacon, but I know that, I can't afford this suite. And she's like, don't worry about it. Nobody can except for
Oprah,
yeah.
Celine Dion or Oprah.
Yeah. And she's like, don't worry about it. That was super messed up. I can't believe she's dating someone already. And he's like, I know, right?
Yeah, that was great.
And so what follows is this hilarious, almost comedy of errors of Peter and Sarah running into each other. And there is a phenomenal cast of supporting characters.
Oh, hell yeah.
In this movie. So we have, as I mentioned, Russell Brand, who was recently in Death on the Nile in a more serious role, and he was very good in it.
I have been a fan of Russell Brand since this movie. I think this was the awakening of America, the introduction of Russell Brand to America was this movie. And not shortly after, I actually ended up going to his first book signing. He's written 2 memoirs. And they're both called My Bookie Wook. I have My Bookie Wook signed by him.
Nice.
And we did it. My buddy Alex and I went to his book signing at the Barnes & Noble in the Grove in West Hollywood. And then fast forward a few years later, on one of the last times I was on NCIS Los Angeles, and Ballers, the Dwayne Johnson HBO show, was shooting on the stage across from ours. And Russell Brand stepped out one day, and I just casually was like, hey, Russell Brand, I met you at your Bookie Wook signing. And he's like, oh, no way. And he came over and talked to me for a half an hour.
What?
And I was getting background ready, so I had the time. I was getting background ready. I was sitting outside, and he's like, what are you doing, mate? I'm like, oh, I'm just getting background ready for this scene for NCIS LA. He goes, oh, NCIS LA, that LL Cool J, all right. I'm like, yeah, man. He was a really fucking cool-ass dude, like a really badass guy. And
that's awesome.
I've watched so many interviews with him now, and he's on a bit of a path of, getting knowledge into people's brains about a bunch of different things right now. He's definitely got a really good head on his shoulders. I just love that I've met him several times, and I have his autograph.
That's super cool. And yes, he was in Ballers for a while, actually.
Yeah, and he was good in Ballers. I mean, he was funny in Ballers, and I watched that all the way through, and I got to say, that is a great fucking show.
It's on my list, actually.
It's really good. And John David Washington's in it, who
as soon
is
as
in Black Klansman.
Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah.
That is the episode that we were talking about John David Washington, and you told me he was in Ballers. It convinced me to put Ballers back on my list.
Oh, yeah. No, it's good. It's very good.
Because I figured, oh, it was over. It'd been a while. I have other things to watch. Moving on. But once I heard that, I was like, oh, I should actually put it back. So, yes,
it's a quick watch. They're half-hour episodes.
Okay, great. So, yes, he's in Ballers. He is also in the Despicable Me franchise.
No, he's not.
He's-
Really?
Dr. Nefario.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen any of those movies.
What?
I saw the last Minion movie only because I had to, because it
No!
was before Elvis. No, there will never. No.
No, those movies
No.
are so much better than Minions.
No, they're not.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
not going to spend an hour and a half listening to Steve Carell with that horrendous voice.
Wow, okay.
No, thank you. Nope.
All right, wow, we found an animated movie that John is really adamant about not watching.
Yeah, I can't do it. It's just
Okay.
not for me. My
Well-
wife is a big fan of the Despicable Me movies. I haven't seen them, but I've heard the voice and I can't do it.
Okay. Well, everybody's entitled to an opinion, I guess.
Indeed.
And Russell Brand also continues this character of Aldous Snow from Forgetting Sarah Marshall into a full-fledged movie called
Oh,
Get Him
yeah.
to the Greek.
Which is also fucking hilarious.
Yes, I saw it in theaters and laughed my ass off.
Same. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so
God.
funny.
So beyond this rock star that she's dating, and despite the fact that she's there, Peter's still trying to get over her.
Yeah.
And you get to see this growth. And one of the things I love about this movie is the memories that pop up for both of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And in the beginning of this movie, he's heartbroken. He's remembering all the good times. And slowly but surely, he starts to see his relationship in a new lens and starts to remember the negative aspects of the relationship. And,
Yeah.
when you're first broken up with, it's rose-colored glasses. All you think of is all the great stuff about them and the time you had together. And then you
Yeah.
start getting some space and you're like, well, actually.
Yeah.
And that's what he does, which is great. And she, of course, is reflecting on the relationship as well during this time. He also meets a whole host of people that help him through
yes.
this journey, including a newlywed couple that is hilarious.
Oh, my gosh.
Jack-
So damn funny.
Jack McBrayer is the husband, and you'll remember him from either the voice of Felix from Wreck-It Ralph
Yeah.
or being the page Kenneth from the 30 Rock show.
Oh, so good.
He's so good in that show. He also tries to go surfing.
Yes, he does.
And Paul Rudd is the surf instructor who's just a total stoner, but
Oh, yeah.
has some of the best lines in this movie, which is saying a lot because this movie has great lines all around.
All over the place.
But he's just kind of a deadbeat, and one of my favorite lines of his, he says,
Hey, here's the deal. When life gives you lemons, just say fuck the lemons and bail.
Yeah, no, you said it, totally.
And yeah, Peter's just like, no, yeah, totally.
he just has this play on a whole lot of very well-known sayings that are just hysterical. Jonah Hill is also in this movie.
Oh, yes.
He plays one of the hosts/waiters at the resort, and he has a couple lines that I think are great. First of all, when Peter goes to dinner and, he traveled by himself, he's trying to get over a breakup, and he walks up to Jonah Hill's character and he said, hey, I'm here for dinner. And Jonah Hill goes, yeah, so is your wife joining you? He's like, no, I'm not married. Your girlfriend? No, I don't have a girl. He's like, just you? Just by yourself? Like, do you need a magazine? Like, you're going to be really bored. I just love it so much because I very often go to dinner or the movies by myself. And
Same.
In fact, it is a very pleasurable experience. I do not need a magazine or anything, and it's actually not terrible, and I recommend it to everyone to get comfortable with yourself and doing
agree.
things on your own, and then you're only beholden to your schedule.
Exactly. Yes, I'm with you on that one.
Jonah Hill also has my favorite line of his in this movie, and something my sister and I say to each other all the time is he is kind of a shitty waiter, and he's hurrying to clean up all these plates, and Peter's still working on his lunch, and he's like, no, I'm not done. And Jonah Hill's like, oh, okay, I'll just go fuck myself then, and walks away because he's such a little asshole in this movie.
And it's kind of similar because he has almost a similar moment in Superbad when he's trying to find the bathroom. And he's like, is this the line for the bathroom? Like, what does it look like? He goes, fuck me, right? And
Yes, that's so true. And there's also a fantastic cameo in this movie by Cynthia Nixon,
Yes, there is.
Because there's a couple points in this movie where, of course, Peter's drowning his sorrows with alcohol, as many of us have done in the past.
Oh, yes.
After a breakup, and he's just drinking tons of different crazy ass drinks that the bartender can give him in Hawaii. And one of the things that he makes Peter is a cosmopolitan.
Yes.
And so Peter's like, "Ooh, Sex in the City. Hi Miranda. Hi, I'm Samantha." And he says hi to Miranda, and it's literally Cynthia Nixon walking behind him.
So awesome.
And it's so small. And you usually don't catch it the first time around, and it's so hilarious. It's just so well done and clever.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I've actually walked by Cynthia Nixon in Manhattan once.
That's kind of funny that that's the place you saw her in.
Yeah.
And of course, because they're at their same resort, Peter and Sarah Marshall and Aldous Snow keep running into each other. And
yeah.
There's a point where Peter's like, "Fuck, man, you're so cool, and it sucks because, I hate you in so many ways."
Yeah.
Because he's dating his ex.
Right.
And Aldous goes, "Hey, man, I was listening to Sarah's iPod the other day, and there's a bunch of crap on it, but there was one song that was so cool, and I looked into it, and it turns out it was your song." Yeah. And Peter's like, "Yeah, it is." And it's because Peter has been working on a musical for years and years. And one of the themes of this movie is Peter is just not his best self. He's gotten kind of lazy. He's gotten kind of comfortable. And that's one of the problems with the relationship that he had with Sarah Marshall.
Right.
He has just been kind of stalling out on a lot of things in his life. And this musical that he wants to make is a rock opera performed by puppets.
Yeah.
About Dracula. And I want to see this produced in real life because
hell yeah.
The songs that he sings for it and his ideas seem so out there and cool.
Yeah.
And just such a fun time. And I love that is kind of this big subplot of this movie.
Definitely. And apparently that was the reason why the Jim Henson Company gave him the green light to do the reboot of The Muppets.
That is absolutely true and correct because Jason Segel, not only is he a very gifted actor, he's also a very gifted writer.
Yeah.
He co-wrote and starred in The Muppet Movie that came out a few years after this one.
Which I remember not hating.
Yeah.
I saw it in theaters and I remember liking it.
Mm-hmm. And
I have only seen it that one time, though.
Amy Adams was in it, wasn't she?
I believe she was, yes.
Can't go wrong with Amy Adams.
Never.
And yeah, that's basically the gist of Sarah Marshall. He's trying to get over this ex, but unfortunately he runs into her and now they're stuck on an island together, quite literally. Yep. And they both experience a lot of growth in this movie, which is really fun to watch. And the friendship that he develops with Mila Kunis' character, Rachel, is also really fun because you start to see, especially as an adult, watching this now 15 years later.
Yeah.
I'm certainly a little bit older. I certainly have a lot more experience with relationships. And seeing, who is actually healthy for you is really fun to watch as an adult. And so revisiting this movie is always fun for multiple reasons, including the hilarity.
Oh, yes.
And as we mentioned, Jason Segel was in the Muppet movie. He's also in a bunch of other stuff, too.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? He had a very small bit part in the movie Can't Hardly Wait.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was the watermelon guy, apparently. I saw that on his credits. I'm like, holy shit.
I do not remember much of that movie.
Oh, it's a fun movie. Definitely early 2000s classic.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, he, of course, was in Freaks and Geeks. That's really where he got his start. He was in I Love You Man with Paul Rudd.
Yes, so good.
He is Vector in the Despicable Me movie.
Oh, really?
Yes, he plays the bad guy in the first Despicable Me movie. He's great in it.
Interesting.
He's also in a comedy that I think more people should watch. He's in Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz and Justin Timberlake.
I saw that. Yeah.
Shit, that movie's funny, and he's
that
really
movie
good
is pretty
in it.
funny.
Yeah.
He's also great in Sex Tape with Cameron Diaz. That movie is hilarious.
He co-wrote that movie.
Oh, did he really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that movie made my wife and I laugh quite a bit.
Nice. He's also in The 5-Year Engagement with Emily Blunt.
I saw that. That was a long fucking movie.
Oh, really?
That movie was like 2.5 hours long.
Like 5 years long?
One of those, pretty much. It was kind of like one of those Apatow, like never-ending movies.
Oh, God. Jason Segel is really successful with TV, so not only was he in Freaks and Geeks, but he also starred in How I Met Your Mother. He was Marshall.
Yes, he did. I love that series so much.
And most recently, he's in Shrinking on Apple TV.
Oh, yeah, with Harrison Ford.
Which is fantastic.
Really?
I am telling everyone to watch it. I have been telling everyone to watch it. It is much better than season 3 of Ted Lasso.
Oh, well, that's really not giving it any kind of praise.
I know you
for
hate
me,
Jason
but...
Sudeikis, but a lot of people, including myself, love Ted Lasso season 1 and 2. Season 3 has not been good, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
If you have an Apple TV subscription, give Shrieking a try. It is 10 episodes long. I loved every single one of them so far from season 1.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I do have Apple TV. I'll have to check that out.
Awesome. Okay. Kristen Bell, as I mentioned, is Sarah Marshall in this movie.
Yes.
I love that she has as much range as she does.
Definitely.
Kristen Bell is fucking fearless in a lot of ways in terms of an actress in Hollywood, because she starred in Veronica Mars and really planted her foot in the industry there. And then she's been in these raunchy ass comedies like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. She's in Bad Moms.
Yes, she is, with Mila Kunis.
She's the voice of Gossip Girl.
Yeah, that's right.
She's in Couples Retreat, which is a Vince Vaughn movie that I think is actually pretty funny.
It's okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exceptional, but it is a pretty funny comedy.
It's got some great moments.
Yeah, it does. And then she's a Disney princess because she's in Frozen.
Yes, she is.
Like, how awesome that she can be this raunchy leading lady in these comedies, but at the same time, she can be wholesome and a Disney princess. I just love that.
Yeah, it's great.
And you've worked with her.
I have indeed. And that was a lot of fun. That pilot never made it to air, but I will always have the memories and the picture of both of us together.
Awesome. And as you mentioned, Mila Kunis from your movie, she is Rachel in this movie, and I love her in this movie. I love her in a lot of things she does. She has been an actress since she was a child, actually.
Yeah.
She was in the movie Gia with Angelina Jolie.
Really?
She plays the young Gia in that movie.
Oh, cool.
She was in a very bold Mark Wahlberg movie that I'm a fan of, and I was actually impressed that Mark tested this out because he's usually in these cookie-cutter bullshit savior movies that are boring. But he and Mila starred in this movie called Max Payne.
Oh, yeah, off the video games.
Yeah, and it was actually a pretty badass movie.
Never saw it.
She also starred in Friends with Benefits.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
With Justin Timberlake. And funny enough, her husband in real life starred in basically the same movie by a different production company.
Yeah.
The same year.
That's right.
Called No Strings Attached with Natalie Portman.
Yes, I saw both, and I believe I liked Friends with Benefits more.
Yes, Friends with Benefits is superior in just about every way. Highly recommend that movie. And lastly, she, of course, is Jackie in That 70s Show.
Oh, yes. Great character. Great show.
Great show. That is where she met her real-life husband, Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
She was 14 when she auditioned for that show.
Oh, wow.
And everyone on that show needed to be 18, and so she lied about her age.
Wow.
And they asked her, "Are you 18?" And she said, "Yes, I'll be 18 on my birthday." She didn't say which birthday it would be. And so she wasn't technically lying.
That's great.
And she got the role of Jackie. And funny enough, her very first kiss ever in her life was with Ashton Kutcher for the show.
Wow.
Yep. Jason Segel actually has written more than The Muppets and Sex Tape. He also co-wrote this movie.
Yes.
Wrote The 5-Year Engagement.
Oh, cool.
And co-wrote and created Shrinking.
Oh,
show.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah. His frequent collaborative and creative partner, Nicholas Stoller, was the director for this movie.
Yes.
Nicholas also directed Get Him to the Greek.
Nice.
The 5-Year Engagement.
Wow.
Neighbors 1 and 2.
Oh, awesome. I like those ones.
Mm-hmm. And the recent LGBT rom-com Bros that came out, I believe, last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And this film, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, is actually based on Jason Segel's experience breaking up with none other than Linda Cardellini.
Whoa.
They were in Freaks and Geeks together. She was prominent in our 420 episode because she stars in Grandma's Boy.
Yeah.
She is also Hawkeye's wife in the Avengers movies.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great actress who's been around for quite some time. So unfortunately, they broke up in real life. So it's that relationship as well as 3 other breakups
oh, wow.
that inspired this movie.
Very cool.
However, Siegel is quick to point out that the quote-unquote naked breakup did not involve Linda Cardellini.
Oh, it did not. Okay.
No, he said she was a great girlfriend, which is a relief to hear.
Yes.
You talked a little bit about marketing and the lack thereof
Yeah.
in your movie. When this film was first getting promoted, Universal decided to hire skywriters to fly over cities with messages like, "I hate you, Sarah Marshall."
I remember seeing those in the
So
air.
do I.
Yeah, the marketing for Forgetting Sarah Marshall was good. I remember a lot of it.
Yes, it was very good. It was very clever. And real-life women named Sarah Marshall got calls from their friends asking if they were having any trouble with their husbands or boyfriends.
That's so good. That's great.
Mila Kunis always uses a body double for any nude scenes.
Oh, wow.
That was true with Friends with Benefits,
Oh.
and that is also true with the picture of her flashing the camera in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That is a computer-generated altered image.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Very well done.
It was very well done, and I absolutely respect any actress or actor's choice to not have nude scenes.
Yeah.
I think that is important for them to have autonomy over those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Mila Kunis is well known for being an absolutely gorgeous person, though.
Yeah.
She has frequented FHM's and Maxim's 100 Hottest Women's lists, and she has topped them repeatedly.
Yeah.
She is
Definitely.
a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
But of course, as we like to dive into instead, she is a smart person. She is a social justice advocate. She is a very good person in real life. So beautiful inside and out for Mila Kunis here.
Yes, definitely.
The role of Aldous Snow was actually written with somebody else in mind.
Really?
I cannot picture this at all.
All right.
He is also a Brit.
Uh-huh.
He was in a King Arthur movie recently.
Okay.
He was also in a show about motorcycles.
Oh, really? Charlie Hunnam?
Charlie Hunnam.
No way.
The
Oh,
character
weird.
of Aldous Snow was written with him in mind, and I cannot picture it.
Huh. No, I can't either.
It's not silly enough.
I don't think
Or
so.
oblivious enough.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something too hard about him.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's a perfect way to describe it.
Interesting.
And a fact that you love, I know, Jason Segel really does play the piano.
Yeah,
Any actor playing instruments, John really likes it when it's actually them playing. And
I do.
he really does play the piano throughout this entire movie, actually.
Yes. During one of my favorite songs is when he's singing to himself about going to the psychiatrist. I hate the psychiatrist. Go see one anyway. I'm not going.
Yes.
I
Peter
love that
is so
scene.
self-deprecating in this movie. I love it so much.
So funny.
He's got a great internal monologue.
Yes.
And the scene where Peter and Aldous are making fun of one of Sarah's credits. So Sarah Marshall,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
she's kind of like a B-range actress. Like she's famous, but like she's not high quality. She's not going to be nominated for an Oscar anytime soon or anything like that. And
No.
they were talking about this film she had previously done where your cell phone kills you, and they're just talking so much shit about it in front of her at dinner, actually.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's a metaphor and all this stuff. And the funny thing is, it was written without knowing that Kristen Bell was was going to be cast as Sarah Marshall, and she had starred in a film called Pulse, which actually had a really similar premise,
yeah,
which
that's
is
right, it did.
awesome. And this film features a very large amount of improv, which honestly all great comedies do.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
According to the director, Nicholas Stoller, about 40% of this movie is improv.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. Very talented people in front of the camera doing what they do best, and that's what makes this movie so great.
Hell yeah.
I'm so glad you like this movie as much as I do.
Oh, I love this movie.
I remember we texted each other the night we were watching it, and I said, I'm watching Sarah Marshall and I can't breathe, and you said, I'm crying, I'm laughing so hard.
It was true. I can't remember what moment it was, but it got me, and I was like wiping tears off my face.
Yes, it's so good. And Forgetting Sarah Marshall had a budget of $30 million.
Wow.
In the U.S., it made $63 million.
Nice.
Worldwide, it made $106 million total, so it did great.
Yeah, not bad at all.
The DVD sales alone, not counting Blu-ray, an extra $30 million.
Damn. Wow. That's awesome.
This came out in 2008, so DVD was still a big thing.
Oh, yeah. I did see this twice in theaters. I saw it, like I said before, with a woman I was dating and her parents, and then I think a week or so later I went and saw it with my sister. And my sister loved it too. So definitely everybody that I've watched it with has enjoyed it. My wife, not so much, unfortunately.
Wait a minute. So after the male nudity aspects of the movie, your girlfriend and her parents, did they enjoy it?
From what I remember, yeah, we all left the theater definitely enjoying it.
So it wasn't an awkward ride home?
Well, no. It was definitely one of those moments where I remember looking to my left and being like, is her mother going to be okay with this? I didn't know that was coming, of course.
Of course not. But like Viggo Mortensen says in Captain Fantastic, it's just a penis. Every man has one.
Yep.
And if you want to either give Forgetting Sarah Marshall a shot or rewatch it, it is currently streaming on Amazon Prime.
Nice. I watched my DVD copy.
Nice. I watched my digital copy.
Perfect.
So that is our breakup episode.
Yeah.
Our breakup rom-com episode, at least.
Definitely.
And John, would you watch The Spy Who Dumped Me with your grandma?
I probably would have. I think my grandmother would have enjoyed some of it. I think she would have laughed.
Even though there is some male nudity in The Spy Who Dumped Me, it's very brief. It's for comedic effect. And I would watch it with my parents without a problem. I think anybody who's like mid-teens could watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. And V, would you watch Forgetting Sarah Marshall with your grandmother?
No, but I've watched it with my mother.
Oh, there you go.
There's a whole lot of cussing in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And there is full frontal male nudity by Jason Segel in the movie.
There is indeed.
But I have watched this movie with most of my family. We all think it's hysterical. I definitely recommend it to all my friends and people who I talk to. And again, mid-teens and above, totally fine to watch this movie.
I would say so.
Well, awesome. That was really a fun episode. I'm so. It's always so fun to talk about comedies that we both enjoy. I hope our audience has as much fun as we do.
I hope so too.
And speaking of our audience, I believe we have a new review.
Oh, yes, we do, actually. Very, very awesome new review. Coming to us from BLF901. Great podcast is what they say. This podcast is amazing. It's helped me find movies I've never seen and now love. Also, they talk about movies from my childhood until now, and it's awesome revisiting them and listening to Insight. If you need a movie podcast, this is it. So thank you very much, BLF901. A sticker is on its way.
Yes, thank you so much. That was such a lovely write-up. And we are always so happy to hear that people's movie lists are growing because of us.
Definitely a favorite moment of mine on this podcast is hearing stuff like that.
So to continue that, let's talk about what we're covering next week.
Oh boy, let's do it.
I've been looking forward to this episode for a while.
Yeah, me too, as I've not seen your pick.
And I've not seen your pick.
Whoa!
Even though they are very, very famous movies that are pretty well-renowned.
Yes, indeed. V, you want to drop the movie that you're doing next week?
Sure. Next week, we are discussing heist movies.
Yeah!
I picked the Michael Mann classic led by Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Val Kilmer. This is Heat.
I can't wait.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Never seen it. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
And where can I watch Heat, V?
You can watch Heat if you have a Netflix subscription or if you download the Pluto TV app.
Oh, cool. I guess I'll have to watch it on Netflix then.
Alrighty. And John, what companion piece do you have for our heist-themed episode next week?
Yes, I bet you anything a lot of people are thinking that I'm going to pick a Christopher Nolan movie, which I am. This will actually be my first Christopher Nolan movie on the podcast, and I'm actually very excited to do this one because I love this movie. And I'm not talking about Inception. I'm talking about a different movie. This movie is written and directed by Christopher Nolan, starring John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, and Kenneth Branagh. This is the mind heist, time-bending mind fuck of a movie, Tenet.
I'm so excited. I've been holding off watching this movie until this episode.
I can't wait for you to watch it. I can't wait to watch it again. and you can watch it on Amazon Prime for $3.99. I will be watching my 4K copy.
Nice.
Because, of course, I have this in 4K. So, yes, if you want to follow along, just know that both of these movies are long. This would be a 6-hour watch for both of these movies.
It's good we have a week to do this.
Indeed, indeed.
And today I learned that Kenneth Branagh is in Tenet, because I did not know that. Thanks, everyone, so much. Please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. It's so important still. And if you listen on Spotify, go ahead and give us a star review. If you listen on Apple
please.
Podcasts, just a couple sentences is all we need for that review to be submitted. Thank you all so much for your support and tuning in every week. We deeply appreciate it and love doing this.
Hell yeah. I am completely in agreement with you there, V. Thank you guys very much for coming and hang out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode and continue to follow along with us.
And as we like to close out our episodes with, film is a form of art, and in art, every opinion is valid, except if you think
women can't lead comedy.
Yes, good God almighty, Kate McKinnon is one of the funniest people I've seen in a movie in a very long time.
Yes, absolutely. I love female-led comedy and ass-kicking movies, and we kind of got both wrapped into this episode.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
Great twofer.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone, thanks again so much. Until next week, bye-bye.
Cheers, everybody.